Hello, welcome back to Popcorn Slimes. My name is Michelle, and today I have a special review for you from Slimebardo and Company. This slime shop had some really amazing looking slimes for the holidays and Christmas on their website, so I was dying to check them out. Before we get into the gist of the video, I will say that I did initially have some problems with most of the slimes I got in my first order. The textures were off, they were very rubbery, and almost not able to be played with at all. I reached out to the shop and she was very generous enough to send me another shipment of my exact order of slimes that she said would be better. She did apologize. A lot of times she was saying that at this time of year she overactivates her slimes since most of them will be given as gifts for Christmas. I told her I totally understood that and I just wanted to communicate with her, but she did send me another package. In that package, the slimes were a little bit better, so before I give too much away, let's get into the unboxing and you will find out how these slimes held up and if they were redeemed in the long run. So my original box took about a week to arrive. In the first box, one of my slimes did explode a little bit. However, everything was individually bubble wrapped, so it came out really nice. There wasn't too much of a mess. I was able to clean up the slime the best I could, and this is what everything looked like all put together. My second box, after I had reached out to the company, arrived insanely fast. It arrived in about 3 days, which was really nice and generous of the shop to get those slimes out to me so quickly. The first slime I tried was called Santa's Favorite Cereal. When I had opened this slime, it was really pretty, super glossy, but immediately when I put my fingers in, I could tell that this was a very rubbery slime. I tried to warm it up in my hands and get it as less rubbery as I could. However, it was just ripping all over the place, and those foam beads did not want to stick to this slime at all. I will say that when my second package arrived, I also got this slime and I still had similar problems. The slime was really rubbery, almost overactivated. I'm not sure if it's the type of glue that's being used or if it's just the way that they make their slimes. It reminded me a lot of the slimes I got from Corn with Slimes, which have somewhat of this rubbery texture for their thick and glossy. I'm not necessarily a fan of it. I thought it was very hard to play with, it was stiff, and I would not recommend it for someone who has sensitive joints. So unfortunately, while I did get this slime back and it was a little better the second time, it was not completely redeemed. I also had a problem with the scent. I'm not going to take off points for the scent, but I will note that it smelled just like vanilla yogurt to me. Like it had this kind of sharp, almost milky scent to it, and it did not smell like buttercream as it was listed, and I could not really enjoy this scent. I thought it smelled too much like vanilla or Greek yogurt, and I was just not into it. However, with the scent aside, I thought that the idea of the slime was really cute. None of the colors from the beads bled into the slime, which was nice. However, this slime was really not playable for me, and for those reasons, I'm giving this one 2 out of 5 popcorns. Next up is Gingerbread. This was a DIY butter frosting. I will also mention that this slime was fine when it arrived. I didn't have the extreme issues I had with the other ones, so I did not re-review it in the second package. This slime smelled just like gingerbread when I opened it up, and it came with this really cool brown clay piece on top with these beautiful gingerbread looking sprinkles. I will say I was really impressed that the clay didn't mix with the slime at all during transit and that I got to mix it myself, which was really fun. The texture of this slime was definitely a lot better than the first. However, I could still feel that it was a little rubbery and stiff, probably because the same base was used. However, the clay that was added into the base and the clay you got to mix in on top made this a very soft slime. This slime was a little bit hard to stretch. It felt almost more like a dough or a if you're like needing some of that Model Magic clay. That's kind of the feel it had to me, but it smelled really good and it was super fun to mix. Again, this is not one I would recommend if you have sensitive joints. It is tough to pull and you do have to work out for it a little bit. It's definitely on the stiffer side, but it's a great holdable slime if that's what you're looking for. I'll also say the scent was really nice. I enjoyed the scent very much. One thing I would have liked to see is maybe a different color clay on top so that you can kind of see the clay mix into the slime a little bit more. However, that was not really a big deal and I still enjoyed this slime. Like I said before, this was still more of a stiffer slime than I am used to. It did stretch, but you did have to work for it a little bit. And I wouldn't necessarily call this a butter as it was pretty clay heavy. I would call this more of just a clay slime. For all those reasons, I am giving this slime 3 out of 5 popcorns. The next slime I tried was called Snowstorm. I was really excited for this slime because it looked like it was inspired by the movie Frozen, which I love. This was a DIY slime that came with a beautiful clay star piece, some clear purple slime to put on top, and the base was a somewhat icy cloud-based slime. I did notice that when I took the clay piece out of the package, it was a little hard, but I didn't think anything of it. As I put it in the slime and started to play, this clay piece was so dry that it felt like a sponge. I literally had to take it out of the slime and there was no way it was going to be incorporated. It just was so dried up, it felt like a sponge, and I almost questioned myself of if it was supposed to go inside. I looked and saw, yeah, this is a DIY slime, so I was a little concerned about that. So I'm mostly going to review the second slime then, since the first slime was just a complete nightmare. She did resend this to me and I played with the blue base, which I still really liked. There was a bit of snow fallout on this one, but it smelled so good. The scent is called The scent is called something that I can't pronounce and I will write down here. It's not a scent I've heard of before, but it is so good. It smells so fresh and clean and reminds me of snowfall and winter. So I tested the clay on the bottom of the second slime before I put it into the slime, and it definitely seemed softer and like it was going to mix in. So I added that and then I played with the top base a little bit. This was a nice and chewy clear slime on the top. There was a little bit of rippage, but when I warmed it up in my hands, it seemed like it was going to be very nice. I was able to assemble it in this beautiful way as shown on the website, where the snowflake is crystallized in this purple slime and it looks so beautiful. I had a much easier time mixing the slime the second time. The clay piece went in and I thought that it felt really nice. I really enjoyed the mixing process of this. While there was still snow fallout on that base, once I mixed in the clay and the clear slime, this turned into such a unique texture. I kind of can't describe the texture because it's almost like an icy float slime, but not, because there's that little bit of clay in there that makes it somewhat of a butter slime. Either way, it's very soft, very inflatable, and I didn't have any of the problems I was having with the previous slimes, such as ripping and rubberiness. Overall, this slime was totally redeemed the second time around. I loved it. It inflated incredibly, and I thought that it was super well done and just beautiful. For those reasons, I'm giving this slime 5 out of 5 popcorns. Last up is Mrs. Claus's cookies. This is the slime that I was the most excited for. It looked so good on the shop's website, and I was very excited to try it out. During my first batch, when I opened it, I was immediately concerned because it had the same texture as the Santa's cereal. It was so tough to pull. I just could not even go without ripping it. You can see in the video that in this first version of the slime, it's so hard for me to pull that my arms are shaking. Additionally, the extra icing that came for the cookies was very rubbery as well, and the cookies were a little bit dry. I'll skip the assembly on this one and just show you the final product. Honestly, the first slime was so hard and so stiff that I couldn't even stretch it. You can see me trying to twist it and make it into something, and it was impossible. It didn't stretch into anything. So I was really disappointed that I ended up basically with a blob of rubber. However, like I said, I did get a second order, so that is the one I'm going to review next. My second order was a lot better. When I played with the base on its own, I can tell that it was definitely less activated, it wasn't as rubbery, and it was going to take the clay a little bit better. My cookies also came out super cute. I love these clay cookies. They were nice and soft this time. However, I do think that the clay this shop is using might not be the best to mix in with slime, because while it is soft enough for me to poke with my fingernail, when you go and press the clay, it doesn't really spread apart and break like others do. So I'm not sure if it's a Daiso clay or if there's a different kind of clay being used, but I think that could also be contributing to some of the texture issues that I had the first time around. As for the slime that went on top of the cookies to decorate it, it was a little bit better this time as well. However, it was still a little stiff and rubbery, but I wasn't too worried because I wasn't going to put a ton of that in the slime. I did have fun decorating these cookies. They looked so cute. I loved it. I wish the slime was a little bit less activated so I could have made some more of a natural drizzle. However, I thought this looked so cute when assembled. So I had a much easier time mixing in the cookies the second time. However, I could still feel that they were a little stiff, as I mentioned before. I don't think this is the best clay that is used to put into slime. It doesn't really crumble. It's very hard, and so it takes a while to mix in, and it's not one of those that's, ooh, it takes a while to mix in and it's fun. It's just, it feels like a lot of work, honestly. However, as you can see with the second batch, I was actually able to stretch it and mix it into a slime, which looked so pretty and festive as I was mixing. This slime was still pretty thick and pretty hard to stretch. Definitely a slow stretch. I was actually able to slow stretch it better than I was the first batch. The first batch I could hold in my hand and it wouldn't move at all. So at least I was able to get some stretch out of this one. I will say it was definitely a workout to mix in that clay and get the stretches. You can kind of see my hands shake a little bit in the second version as well. So again, not a slime I would recommend if you have sensitive joints. I was wondering what the final color was going to be because of the red and green, and it turned into this kind of weird washed out mauve red, but I still really liked it because it reminded me of melted candy canes. It was really cool. The scent for this slime was to be scented like sugar cookies. Again, this one smelled just like vanilla Greek yogurt to me. I was not a fan of the scent at all, which was a little bit disappointing because I was really looking forward to a sugar cookie scent. However, scents are objective, and so I'm not going to take off very many points for that. While I was able to stretch this one and get it a little bit puffier than before, it naturally puffed up because of the clay, and I wasn't able to inflate it a super ton because it was just so hard to stretch and even get air in there. In the end, it kind of felt like a chubby piece of Model Magic clay rather than slime in my hands, which was okay. It did still give some nice bubble pops, and if you like something that's a little tougher and just fun to poke or squeeze, or you're trying to work out your muscles in your hands, I would recommend this slime. Overall, I was still a little disappointed with this slime. However, it was such an improvement from the first time around, and for those reasons, I'm giving this slime 3 out of 5 popcorns. So overall, Slimebardo and Co. was a mixed bag for me. I really appreciated the customer service that I got. I got a nice card saying that I hope the slimes are better. They reshipped all of my slimes for free to make up for the ones that I had originally that were not great, and the experience that I had there. In the future, I would consider shopping from this store again just to see what they have and see if they can improve their textures or make them a little bit different in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you are enjoying the holiday winter specials that we have going on right now. I have so many slimes in the bank that I'm editing, and I'm so excited to show you guys, so stay tuned for those. As always, Kernels, you are amazing human beings. Thank you so much for making this possible, and keep poppin'. I'll see you in the next one.